Parliamentary Committee concerned of reports not yet tabled. Stakeholders discuss way forward for universities. Parkop vocal against detention centre on World Refugee Day.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. 3 key reports compiled by the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery are yet to be tabled in Parliament. Chairman Bira Kimisopa says these reports are not to discriminate the government but to help improve and enhance services to the people. He expressed dissatisfaction on behalf of the committee after attempts to table the reports failed in the March and June Parliament sittings.
The people all cannot...
These reports include the late delivery of teachers' welfare, an interim report on health sector management and a final report of the health sector management. For health, Chairman Bira Kimisopa said there is a total misfortune in the delivery of primary health care which needs urgent addressing. One specific area of concern to the committee is the current rise of multi-drug resistant TB in PNG.
Raised that issue when we were in Daru. Now, it will have social and economic consequences if we don't respond to it quickly.
The committee openly spoke of the need to present this report in Parliament to save its purpose and help people access better health care.
This is a huge effort, and we've not been allowed to table this in Parliament. These are changes that the nation needs, that the people of this country need. These are the changes that are going to improve our lives, that are going to improve our living standards.
From the reports, the committee believes PNG's health sector needs to be revitalized and modernized. Findings show inefficiency in structure management, funding and responsibilities carried out by the National Department of Health. Basically, the committee pinpointed the necessary changes the health sector can adapt for better service delivery.
We are all about the business of improving governance. That's basically our job. We are not on this committee is not on our tech mission. That's not our agenda. If we see where problems are, we are trying to help government solve problems.
Despite the report not being tabled in Parliament, it will be made available to the public.
If a special parliamentary committee is denied that right to be able to table the report, then what hope is there for all the other parliamentary committees?
These parliamentary committees at every turn being just completely ignored, underfunded, and in many instances gagged. The people of PNG deserve better than this.
Jack Lapave Jr. National EMTV News.
Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari today met with the Vice-Chancellors of 4 universities whose students boycotted classes. The meeting was to assess the academic year and see what can be done in the recovery efforts. UPNG and Unitec boycotted classes for almost 7 weeks, while UOG and the UNRE boycotted classes for 3 weeks. Salvaging the academic year and having students return to class was the priority today.
The meeting between Chief Secretary and the Vice-Chancellors of the university discussed the student unrest in the country. Mr. Lupari said that he was briefed on what actions were being taken by the university administration to have students return to class. He said it was encouraging to see the universities communicate with each other and their Student Representative Council to see a way forward.
Kids to understand that the potential threat of cancellation of 2016 academic year.
The Chief Secretary said by the end of the week, the university would report to him to give an update on the attendance of students. He said therefore the UPNG medical faculty and UNRE students had returned to class, while for UPNG, Lay Unitec and UOG, a minority of students have hindered resumption of class.
I'm told it's 100% attendance. Also at the University of Natural Resource up in Butau, they have commenced the classes 4 weeks ago, 100% attendance. At Unitec, the Vice Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor reported today that students, some classes have commenced in different faculties. The students are going in and they're working through with different provincial grouping.
Mr. Lupari said for UPNG, the administration advised that counselling was given to students who were traumatized after the shooting and resumption of classes was slow. He said the administration is talking to those who are refusing to return to class.
I'm told that science faculty have commenced their classes, and all the satellite colleges throughout the country, there's 100% attendance in their classes. But there are one or two other faculties that where they have refused to attend classes.
Adelaide Xerox Curry, National EMTV News.
Another issue brought up during the meeting with Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari today was the number of students boycotting classes for extended periods of time. Mr. Lupari said a number of reasons why this is happening had to do with management, students' behavior, entry into university and scholarships. He said in 2 weeks he would look at reviewing the higher education and education sector as a whole.
To look at the review of the higher education sector or education sector in general in 2 weeks' time. I have assigned Secretary for Higher Education and Education to work through the program, where we will bring all the stakeholders in the country, in the education sector, to talk about the issues that are affecting the country in terms of reforming the sector, in terms of creating a culture of discipline, not only at the universities, but all our institutions, learning institutions around the country. Yeah?
An urgent application filed by the UPNG SRC to stop students from signing an agreement with the UPNG Council was refused by the Supreme Court. Justice David Cannings refused to hear the application this afternoon because UPNG SRC lawyer Laken Aigilo failed to serve the notice of motion to the 3 parties involved in this matter. Aigilo was ordered to serve the files by 10 a.m. tomorrow before Justice Cannings hears the urgent application at 4 p.m. on the same day. Northfly member Boka Kondra remains suspended from office pending his appeal at the Supreme Court for a judicial review into 2 National Court decisions which found him guilty of misconduct in office. A 3-man Supreme Court bench made this ruling today on Kondra's stay application on the lower court's decision. The Supreme Court reiterated the concern why Governor-General Sir Michael Ogio did not execute the tribunal's recommendation to have Kondra dismissed from office.
The Supreme Court ruled that despite the granting of the stay application, Kondra's suspension will remain until the Governor-General acts on the recommendation to dismiss Kondra from office. Presiding judges Justices George Manuhu, Alan David and Italai Kiele Polume ruled that the Governor-General is the person required to act on the recommendation, and the court was seriously concerned why he never executed it. The Supreme Court also queried if the GG had received the recommendation or not. The recommendation was given by a leadership tribunal on October 27, 2014, after the National Court had found Kondra guilty of 6 allegations of misconduct in office. On July 14, 2015, the National Court stayed the tribunal's decision pending the determination of a judicial review proceeding. However, on March 1, 2016, the National Court dismissed Kondra's application for a judicial review. Kondra's stay application today is in conjunction with his appeal at the Supreme Court for the higher court to decide whether or not there will be a judicial review into the tribunal's decision. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The absence of Treasury Secretary Dairi Vele at the Waigani Committal Court has resulted in the adjournment of his case to Thursday. Vele's lawyer, Tiffany Twyvey, told the court this morning that her client was still in Kundiawa and submitted for the matter to be adjourned. Vele was criminally charged last July by officers from the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate for the purchase of 2 power generators from Israel in 2013. This case has been undergoing committal proceedings for almost a year. Because medical officers have stopped attending to sick inmates inside the Bomana prison, the wardens are forced to transport inmates to the Port Moresby General Hospital for medical help. While this is seen as the fundamental duty of correctional officers, it is a risky job as the chances of escaping are very high. Assistant CS Commissioner for the Southern Region, Henry Wavik, said 2 high-profile criminals had escaped from POMGEN in the last 6 months. Mr. Wavik said the CS department is still in dialogue with the board of POMGEN to establish a setup which will minimize the chances of inmates escaping.
Prisoners must be given first priority if they come down to the hospital. I know they are sick like any other persons at the hospital, but because they are a special class of persons, they must be attended to quickly, and so that they can be taken away. Second point is there is no facility on arrival at the hospital. When they come, they just stay with the guards and go through to see the doctors. And after seeing the doctors, they go out and wait at the car park or some other places outside. There is no such secure places for prisoners to be kept. In the month of May, one prisoner was seen. After he was seen by the doctors, came out and waited at the car park, and some people came and held the guards up and drove off with the prisoner.
Throughout the world, 65 million people are forced to leave their homes in search of refuge. This is according to UN Resident Coordinator Roy Trivedi, who says these displacements have reached epidemic levels. Trivedi was among NGO and government speakers at PNG's commemoration of World Refugee Day yesterday.
The 20th of June marks the World Refugee Day. The national theme is PNG Welcomes Refugees. To commemorate this day, the International Organization for Migration with the PNG Immigration and Citizenship Services Authority hosted an event at the National Museum and Art Gallery in Port Moresby to show PNG's support to the refugees. Trivedi said new and ongoing conflict and disturbing forms of violence is the main reason forcing people out of their homes to search for safety.
Long-term exile means being away from their homes, their countries of origin, from their families, their loved ones, from the things that they know and are familiar with, to start a new life.
By the end of 2015, there were 21 million refugees, 3.2 million asylum seekers, and 40.8 million internally displaced people in the world. Among these statistics are the West Papuans. Esther Gaigaming, Deputy Migration Officer, said of the 10,000 West Papuans who have made PNG their home, some of them will soon become PNG citizens.
Over 1,000 of them, the applications have been finalized, and they will be going before the Citizenship Advisory Committee very soon for issuance of their citizenship.
She said their aim is to have over 85% of all West Papuans in PNG registered by the end of this year.
A team from our office is going to commence registration in Vanimo, which is another one of the biggest refugee settlement areas for West Papuan refugees. And we will follow on to Wewak after that, and then to Ley.
Florence John Duo, National EMTV News.
During the commemoration of World Refugee Day, NCD Governor Parkop openly criticized the Manus Detention Centre arrangement between Papua New Guinea and Australia. He spoke after the Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis spoke about Australia's efforts towards resettling refugees.
We are hospitable people. We welcome refugees. We want to bring them to our house. We are compassionate people. And that's the culture that we should maintain. And the culture that is being imposed on us by the Australian government is not our culture. To put people in the detention center, to let them out because they dare to find a better life.
This was the message about Papua New Guineans that Parkop wanted those present at the commemoration to know. He said this after Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis gave his official address.
Since the Second World War, settled more than 840,000 refugees from across the globe. Papua New Guinea has its own very proud tradition of resettling refugees from both within the region and beyond. And Papua New Guinea has demonstrated real leadership on this issue and encourages a very strong and continued spirit of partnership to do with refugee issues.
Parkop responded to this speech by saying detaining refugees on Manus is wrong.
Commissioner, I've been one of the MPs who have been against what is happening in Manus detention center. I'm not afraid to say that I still think it's wrong. It's wrong because these refugees or asylum seekers, they did not decide or want to come to Papua New Guinea or Manus Island.
He said he is happy with the Supreme Court's decision on the center.
So we have, bend our rules and break our laws to facilitate this, but it's still not right.
And he had this advice for the Australian government.
In PNG, we are a small economy. We are trying to look after our people. You are a bigger economy, and you got big land. I've driven in Australia miles and miles, and you don't see any house. There's trees or kangaroos or whatever still going on there. They can accommodate more people.
And for Papua New Guineans, Parkop says we must empathize with refugees now because we do not know what the future holds.
So we should be understanding about this and reach out and show our compassion now because tomorrow it might be our turn.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Around 300 refugees and asylum seekers marked World Refugee Day in Hong Kong by marching to the immigration headquarters on Monday, demanding better conditions and an end to discrimination. Wearing red T-shirts from Hong Kong's Refugee Union, the men, women and children carried banners reading "Justice for Refugees" and "Support Refugees, Support Democracy."
Refugee Union Chairwoman Adele Namagembi said refugees were being unfairly portrayed by Hong Kong media and politicians.
This is also our grievance, which we want to express to the government, that all of us, we are not criminals. All of us, we are not illegal migrants. All of us, we are not thieves. We have never stolen anything here in Hong Kong. We just need protection. The major point is protection.
While Europe grapples with an influx of people desperate to escape fighting in Syria, asylum seekers from Asian nations such as Bangladesh, India, Pakistan and Vietnam are flocking to Hong Kong along with a handful from Africa. But human rights activists and non-government bodies accused authorities in the Chinese-ruled city of dragging their feet of the approval of claims to avoid spurring a further influx.
So Hong Kong society should be open to the refugees because they can enrich Hong Kong society with new values, new international and cosmopolitan atmosphere, and we are opposed to the people who try to use the refugee issue, say that some refugees are fake or almost all of them are fake, just to gain more votes for the elections in September.
Hong Kong has approved just 52 out of more than 8,000 claims since 2009. There are more than 11,000 asylum seekers in the Asian financial hub, some still uncertain about their fate after waiting for more than 15 years. The refugees have become a sensitive topic for residents and politicians, with the media often blaming them for a spike in crime. Politicians have pushed for tighter curbs after the government adopted a screening mechanism in 2014 to select those meeting the refugee criteria set out in international law. In a legislative document this year, the Hong Kong government acknowledged the need to streamline the lengthy screening process. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Among stories after the break, the government confirms appointment of 2 senior public servants, Bukblong Pikinini in partnership with PNG Air, and the struggles of trading betel nut. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The government has confirmed the appointment of 2 senior public servants. First is Correctional Service Commissioner Michael Waipo and William Bando as Hela Provincial Administrator. Both signed their contract appointments at Government House this morning.
Also signed on to key performance key result areas and key performance indicators. So over the period of their employment, I as the government representative will be measuring their performance.
Initially appointed on the 26th of September 2014, but the formalities did not happen until today. Signing is one bit, but delivery of service as a leader in this structured arrangement is a big challenge.
Signing is now given me the opportunity to now refocus in the midst of all our challenges as a province, in the midst of this impasse that I want to appeal to our political leaders to leave your differences and let's work together for the remaining 10 months because that's what the people of Hela want.
Children in remote areas of the country will soon be able to access libraries and literacy programs in their areas. This is made possible through Book Belong Pikinini partnering with PNG Air. Book Belong Pikinini founder Anne-Sophie Herman said the partnership will enable the organization to expand its centers to rural parts of the country.
The partnership was sealed today in a memorandum of understanding. It was an exciting day for the NGO group School Belong Pikinini. The children attending the early literacy program staged an air travel play to welcome their guests.
Speaking, make yourself comfortable, relax, and enjoy the flight. Thank you for flying with PNG Air.
This partnership will support the group's efforts to provide early childhood literacy programs and provide access to books and literacy materials to low literacy communities.
We are now trying to go more remote, and in order to be able to reach the remote communities, we really need the help of logistic companies such as PNG Air.
To help the staff to travel around the country in PNG Air flights, and that's obviously the start, but we'll be working closely with them to support them even further.
Book Belong Pikinini was established in 2007 when Ms. Herman's husband, Chris Moraitis, was High Commissioner to Papua New Guinea from 2006 to 2009. The organization has been operating in the country for more than 7 years with 17 libraries in 6 centers around the country. The centers are more than libraries. They also provide a learning center for small children to attend literacy programs to develop early literacy skills.
After 5 or 6 months, they have a huge increase in their literacy already. And by the end of the year, many of the little 5-year-olds are reading. And that means that they are then ready to go to school and just focus on learning. So they have all the discipline, but they also are emerging readers.
Apart from literacy programs, the Book Belong Pikinini also supplies books and learning materials to underprivileged school libraries under its newly established Book Belong Community Program.
Book Belong Pikinini collects books in Australia. We have lots of publishing houses and schools who collect books for us. We send them up with the help of CFAST and Express Freight Management. We then have 3,000 books in each Book Belong Pikinini library.
Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Now to a crop tied to cultural ceremonies and the fabric of many coastal communities. The buai or betel nut is used as an integral part of cultural ceremonies and as an icebreaker when forging new relationships. For the Makam people of Mare in the Morobe province, a society that thrived on the buai trade for decades, their way of life has been altered after a disease killed off all their betel nut palms several years ago. Scott Wider with this story.
According to electoral boundaries, the Mare villages are located in the Huon Gulf district, but culturally, they share the same practices as their relatives who live along the Makam Valley. Mare looks like any other lowland village, but there's a key element missing. There are no buai palms. Like many other lowland Papua New Guinean villages, the buai is important for their cultural exchanges and social status. For the Mare, their buai palms were destroyed by a disease several years ago. But the decimation of the buai crop may have been a blessing in disguise. In the quest to find an alternative cash crop, more people began planting cocoa. They found that cocoa income was far better than the money they made from the buai.
Time saya serim kakak, saya serim ro egg mak. One para driving bag, I kisim 530 kina or 550 kina sports market bro egg mak driving good prime saya kisim osen.
Years ago, when the buai disease struck, it also affected their household incomes. Over the last 50 years, buai had become an important source of revenue for the communities at Mari. Perhaps isolated by the distance, many coastal villages separated by the sea have remained unaffected by the buai disease. Every day, bags of buai are brought by boats. In Ley City, there's no buai ban. But the buai sellers can't sell at the main market, so the buai bags end up here at the Kamkumung market. Here is where the Makams now get their buai from, and it's expensive.
200 kinaron para bag or 300 kinaron para bag.
You spend how much money straight Luxembourg?
Bisa kisim 50 kina or 100 kina misai isim on this la boy.
One per week.
One per week.
Scott Wide, National MTV News, Ley.
Balob Teachers College in Ley will soon begin offering bachelor degrees in education. The Deputy Principal, Jack Hawap, says this is to cater to the increasing demand for more teachers with higher qualifications. The college is owned by the Lutheran Church, and currently students graduate with diplomas in primary teaching.
The institution has been offering certificates from 1965 to 2001. In 2002, the institute went into offering diploma programs of 3 years, consisting 6 semesters. Because of the shortage of teachers, the Education Department suggested the college to offer a trimester program of only 2 years. In 2014, the college reverted to the 3 years diploma program.
Offering 2 years is not enough to cover all the content. We were not producing good teachers. And by having it back to 3 years would give us the opportunity for the students to stay longer and be able to pick up more in terms of the content area that they will be teaching.
Howard says the school will need support from the provincial government and other stakeholders in funding more facilities for the college to cater for the students. He said students who wish to progress to a degree program can do so once the program is in place next year. Julie Badwi Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
The tourism and hospitality community in Alotau has welcomed its newest member, Alotau Waterfront Lodge. Owned by local company RFI Enterprise, Waterfront Lodge recently witnessed its official opening by Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Tobias Kulang. According to RFI Executive Chairman Robert Igara, their decision to venture into the hospitality industry is to support and promote the local hospitality industry. He says given that Milne Bay Province has been identified as a tourism hub, Waterfront Lodge aims to provide a true Milne Bay experience for visitors to Alotau. The facility has already received rave reviews, hosting several corporate events since its soft opening. Mariba May Igara is the lodge's general manager. Responsible for the lodge's day-to-day operations, she is confident that the operations will pick up, especially given the fact that Alotau has been identified as a tourism hub by the national government.
The responsibility is huge, but I know with God all things are possible. That's my confidence, and going forward we have a lot of work to do. We need to be focused, we need to understand our market, but we aim to be the best and we can only give our best, and I'm sure the results will be positive, because Papua New Guinea is to me the most beautiful country in the world, and I'm very proud to be Papua New Guinean. I'm very proud for what we have to offer the world, and also our local tourists coming from other provinces. Alotau is a beautiful town, people are friendly, it's very safe. Of course we have our issues and challenges, but it is critical that we get it right and we show that we're doing our best and we're serious about it.
Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Tobias Kulang was given the honour of officially opening Alotau Waterfront Lodge, and from the outset He was impressed with the facilities on offer, as well as the potential of Alatau as a tourism hub.
Whatever you do, the pace you set will affect tourism development in the rest of the country. If you're going to play politics, or you're going to have a relaxed attitude, then you're going to deny the growth this country is going to.
So what can tourists expect from Alatau's newest hospitality establishment?
To take care of our guests. We have the most beautiful sunsets. You know, you can do squidding off the jetty, get in a canoe and paddle around, and we'll take you around. But Alatau Waterfront Lodge is the newest accommodation in town, and we believe we're the best.
And now a look at the finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085 US, $0.4109 Australian dollars, $0.2696 euro, and 31.83 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed lower. Cocoa closed higher, while copra closed the day unchanged. Palm oil closed unchanged, copper closed higher, while crude oil closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 129 points higher, the ASX closed 21 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed 20 points higher. Doctors at Mount Hagen Hospital tender their resignations, and HIV is still a problem in the country. Those stories and more when we return. Welcome back to the news. A total of 23 doctors of Mount Hagen Hospital have effected their resignations as of last Friday. After a meeting, all 23 members of the National Doctors Association agreed to withdraw their services to the Western Highlands Provincial Health Authority. NDA Highlands representative Dr. Benjamin Yapo, in a statement, said this was a direct response to their petition not being answered to the satisfaction of its members. They have written to the National Office to take up the matter with Health Minister Michael Malabag immediately. The board and management of Mount Hagen Hospital is yet to make an official statement. While awareness on HIV/AIDS in the country has decreased over the years, PNG still faces an epidemic with HIV/AIDS. This is according to the National STI HIV Program Manager, Dr. Nick Dalla, who spoke to EMTV today. He said the epidemic in the country is described as concentrated and mixed.
We have 0.8% national prevalence. But then I'm saying that in Enga, that's 1.75% prevalence, and in Mosby is 1.2 or so. So why do you have this national prevalence high and low, below 1%, and the provincial prevalences in islands provinces, including NCD and Ley, are higher than the national prevalence? That's because we're saying that it's a mixed and concentrated epidemic.
Dr. Nick Dalla is the National STI HIV Program Manager with the National Department of Health. He said from recent data, Papua New Guineans who have contracted HIV is now over 40,000.
From the latest exercise that was completed in April 2016, we estimated that around 44,000 people in PNG are living with HIV. Up to 44,000, of which 20,000 are on treatment right now.
While he says there is far less stigma and discrimination against people living with HIV and AIDS, especially in accessing treatment, there is still a lot of men who are not voluntarily being tested.
Recently, I've seen the number of people getting tested at VCT sites are really been diminishing. So, as part of the general awareness you mentioned, I think we need to encourage more people to go to VCT sites and so on.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Residents at ATS settlement on the outskirts of Port Moresby are still unable to source clean drinking water Alois Essa, a long-time resident, says they have to walk more than 2 kilometers each day to fetch water. Alois and his community have appealed to NCD Governor Poes Parkop and local MP Labi Amayu to resolve their water problems.
38-year-old Alois Essa is a public servant who has been living with his family at 8 years. Locally known as Hillside Community, this sits between the 80s Ridge and has a population of at least 500 people, most of whom are public servants. Over the years, they have been faced with the problem of sourcing a good drinking water.
Milukim all family, Mary Pikinini all panim hard straight long water. Now, water, it's not by privilege, it's by rights. Oh, got one man, Mary citizen of the country, you must, he got water or life to me.
Speaking on behalf of these residents, he has said every day they have to walk more than 2 kilometers to fetch water using water bottles and containers. This has prompted them to salvage the idea of bringing water to their doorstep for cooking, drinking, washing and recreational purposes. Recently, an association called Hillside Community was formed to address this issue. This committee will probe into the 400,000 kina water supply funds they claimed was donated by Labi Amayu for the water project.
Previously, me been harem also member been put him some big money, lo bring him a water project lo. At the first place he go finish now second pace. Now this is the second pace and me hold up time me been making some research and find out also he got one on zone inside long 8 years. He got water contractor stuff.
They said the cause of the delay is because contractors' licenses to carry out work have been expired. Meanwhile, they are querying how long it will take for this problem to be fixed and appealing for immediate intervention.
Whoever is concerned, the ministers or our senior people who can help us out to bring water into our portion, which Mibla by Yusim.
Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Here with National MTV News, Trukai Sports is next. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG Cancer Foundation today announced the return of the prestigious Daffodil Cup Golf Challenge. The launch at the Port Moresby Royal Golf Club is due to take place on Friday the 12th of August. Sponsored by Oil Search annually, the charity event attracts individuals and business houses to raise funds for cancer awareness and treatment. Funds generated from the charity event will go towards conducting free mouth and breast cancer screening programs in 6 provinces within the country in 2017. The Morebay Rugby Football Union, or MRFU, is now ready to send its Rugby Sevens team, the Hammerheads, to the autonomous region of Bougainville next Thursday after securing a sponsorship of 15,000 kina. The funding was made possible through a local construction company, FTM Construction Limited. The team will now be called the FTM Hammerheads. The 12-man team will join the other provincial teams to compete in the annual Black Orchid Sevens tournament in the autonomous region of Bougainville.
MRFU President Avia Hayarura says the team was preparing for the tournament without any financial assurance earlier this year, with hopes of still making it to the competition in July. This is the first year the association will send in a provincial team.
We're very thankful to FTM Construction for coming on board and becoming the naming rights sponsor for our Hammerheads team to Black Orchid Sevens.
Hayarura says such financial backing by a local firm is the kind of support the association needs to boost the morale of the players in the province. The 12-man team, comprising 2 officials, will be under the direction of the team coach I.M. Pilokos. Most of the FTM Hammerheads players were part of the winning team last year in Port Moresby during the PNG Sevens Championship.
Every young rugby player playing want to represent the provincial side.
FTM Construction has also assisted the MRFU Junior Development Program in the province, and with more willingness to support local competitions. Most of the business houses turned down the request to sponsor them due to the economic crisis.
Difficult times right now with everyone, but as a locally owned company and operating in Morobe, we try to do whatever we can to assist the local teams and the communities here.
Mata Luis, National EMTV Sports, Ley.
Meanwhile, MRFU has introduced women's competition in the city after gaining a lot of interest. 8 women's teams have shown interest this year and has started the competition during Game 5 of Round 1 challenge of the men's competition. MRFU President Avea Hiarua said the introduction of the women's competition is the first in the city. Apart from Port Moresby, Kokopo and Madang, Ley did not introduce women's competitions as they wanted to strengthen and develop the men's competition first.
Women's competition is, we haven't actually done the structures for the competition. Structures, I mean, there's no administrative side of it in place, which we need to do before we start the proper competition for them. At this stage now, we're trying to give them the games, and they play and they learn. They learn how to play properly. They learn the rules, and they learn the basics of rugby. Once they pass that stage, probably next year, then we can have the administrative in place so they can have the proper competition.
Trukai Sports continues after the break with James Egearo making a switch to Super League. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. James Egearo may have played his last game for Penrith Panthers after telling teammates he anticipates joining Britain's Super League as early as this week. Seguiaro is understood to have broken the news of his overseas transfer to several players during a field session on Monday.
The Leeds deal is expected to include the remainder of the season and 2017. Unwanted at Penrith beyond this season, fan favourite Seguiaro had held out hope he would remain in the NRL and even sounded at least one rival club.
Oh! Even hit by Seguiaro.
But Leeds, who has been in the market for a top quality hooker, was able to secure Seguiaro's price signature. The move will quickly end talk of Robbie Farah leaving the West Tigers with a year remaining on his contract and joining Leeds on a big money deal. Leeds boss Gary Hetherington said there's been a lot of speculation about a number of players and the club is aware of the speculation, but anything and everything they do is done in confidence. There were big hopes for Seguiaro in the start of the season, with new coach Anthony Green keen to use him as an 80-minute player. But the broken arm in round 1, then the rise of veteran makeshift dummy half Peter Wallace make it difficult for Seguiaro to regain his place in the starting side. While the infamous photo of Seguiaro dining with housemate Andil star Corey Norman, as well as former Parramatta prop Junior Paulo, was not the reason for the NRL exile, it did not help his hopes of returning to first grade. Seguiaro was supposed to play for Penrith in last Saturday's reserve grade. It was a late withdrawal. There was no issues with his fitness as he is able to take part in Monday's field session. There was some suggestion today's field session will be his last. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
To football, and the UEFA Euro 2016 tournament is slowly reaching the final 16 stage with upsets and expected results dominating in the past few days. Spain, Italy, Belgium, Wales and Albania all had victories, whilst England and Portugal had disappointing draws.
An injury to Thomas Rosicky would slightly dampen the mood within the camp, but there was no doubting the importance of the Czech Republic's 2-2 draw against Croatia, salvaging their campaign.
The substitute to step up. That's it for the Czech Republic, and he thumps it into the roof of the net.
Vincenzo Del Bosque's men made it 2 out of 2 with clean sheets after a convincing 3-0 win. Alvaro Morata and Nolito continued their fine form as Spain sealed qualification from Group D by breezing past Turkey.
2-0. Nolito's made one, and now he's scored one.
If questions were being asked of Belgium after the 2-0 loss to Italy in their opener, the Golden Generation found their sparkle at the second time of asking with Saturday's 3-0 win in Bordeaux.
in towards the near post. Well, the Byrail is there. And it was...
Wilmots did reshuffle, returning to a familiar 4-2-3-1 system, with Thomas Meunier and Yannick Rashko reinforcing the right flank and Moussa Dembele coming in midfield. However, De Bruyne was handed a central role behind striker Lukaku, and it paid off. The number 7 had helped build pressure on the Irish goal in the first half, and it followed that it was he who set up Lukaku's opener after the interval. For Portugal, dismay. Cristiano Ronaldo missed a penalty on his landmark night as Austria held on for a spirited Group F draw at Parc des Princes. Sunday's first half in Lille was all about Pogba, restored to the starting lineup after an influential performance off the bench for France against Albania on Wednesday. Pogba struck the crossbar twice and almost scored an own goal in the first 45 minutes as France drew 0-0 with Switzerland. History for Albania. Alberto Sariku's strike in the 43rd minute would bring a maiden Euro victory for a side that has a number of foreign-born players and which has struggled on the international stage. Jeremy Mogic, National, EMTV Sports.
And there ends True Kai Sports. Up next, there were the details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours, we begin in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby and Kerma, light showers in Daru, showers and rain in Alutau, showers and thunderstorms in Popondetta. To the Momasi region, thundery showers expected in Leh and Wau, a shower or two in Madang, mostly fine for Wewak and Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers expected in Lorangau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, showers and thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, you can expect some light showers over the next 24 hours. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 21st of June 2016. From the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.